again. I've come a bit close to the camera this time because I thought I was a bit far away and then I started slouching and I ended up like this. But today I thought I would talk about my favourite patterns, which I'm kind of classing as ones that I've made more than once, which there are loads of those that aren't in this video, but ones that I've made more than once and I'm really happy with. Like, I don't like it any less any time, I just kind of like them even more. Every time I've made them. There's one that featured in my February makes that I hadn't even finished. You're probably guessing already what it is, but just because it's such a good pattern and there are so many options. But anyway, I thought I'd run an idea by you in that I might do a few videos, because you know I've done my kind of sew along sort of videos that are usually split into two, where you just sort of watch me make something. I thought something that I might do to encourage people to kind of like use the same pattern more than once and kind of see the different ways that you can do things. I might do sort of one pattern this many ways. So like, for example, for if I did the marigold trousers, I could add elastic around the ankles so that it was elasticated at the waist and the ankles. I could add a trim, I could do embroidery, I could do a different bodice with the different trousers so it was different jumpsuit cut, that kind of thing, so that you can hack, basically pattern hacks for one pattern and how it can make it look so different. But if you don't want me to do that, that's fine. I just thought it might be something different that I might be able to do. But today I'm talking about my most used and most loved patterns. There's an embarrassing amount of sew over it in here, but I do really love the sew over it patterns because they're so my style, the instructions are amazing, and their patterns are just so pretty. But this is just what it is at the moment. I'm sure I'll be editing this and then thinking, oh, I didn't put that pattern in there. And I might just do one of these every year, maybe my most worn patterns or something like that. But I'll stop rambling and I'll just get on with it because I'm good at rambling. I will start with the one that you've probably already guessed, which is the Nielsen Rowan pattern. Again, you can't see it because the lines are not really that dark, but there are 6 different variations. You can have it as a bodysuit or as a top. It's a jersey pattern. You need fabric with 40% stretch or higher, which is quite stretchy, but it's just so quick. I've sewn them up. The one that I made already, I sewed up within probably about an hour and a half at most. I'm just so pleased with this pattern. I'm so glad that I got it. I'm so glad it was brought to my attention. And I'm going to be making so many of these, and they're so comfortable. I just can't even stress enough how good these are, especially when I would say they're good for beginners, the top versions. My lipstick's wearing off, I should have reapplied it. The top versions, which don't have the bodysuit, obviously, they're good starter jersey projects, I'd say. The instructions do have their kind of weaker spots. You might have your hand held a bit more with the Chilli jersey patterns, but I've not used any of those ones yet. I have a couple, but I haven't used them yet. But they're such nice patterns, they fit wonderfully, and there are so many variations that you really get a lot for your money. And what I was going to say was that there are no fastenings, and for someone with a disability, like I have, it's nice to have the support around your joints, but without having to do fiddly bits with your fingers. It is difficult to get over your head sometimes, but it kind of depends what you struggle with and what you don't. I struggle with buttons and zips with my fingers, and sometimes getting my hands up over my head is a bit tricky with this, but they're really good. Anyway, if I can, I'll insert a picture of the one that I've made already. But yes, highly recommend this one. I'll try and link all the patterns below for you. Next one is another one that, these are probably also easily guessed, but the next one is the Tilly and the Buttons Marigold, both the jumpsuit and the trousers. I prefer the trousers personally, just because I've made 2 of each. I've made 2 trousers and 2 jumpsuits, both as the pattern is without any hacks. But I'm going to make more hacks on them in the future, like adding elastic around the ankles, changing the bodice on the jumpsuit, just stuff like that. But they're really easy to make. They're basically one step up from pyjamas, just because you can wear them during the day. You can wear pyjama patterns during the day, but they've got a really nice tapered leg, if you can see here, so it comes in, rather than being more baggy around the ankle, it does come in around the ankle on both the jumpsuit and the, one of the cats has just walked in, on both the jumpsuit and the trousers it does come in, which is nice. I do sometimes straighten out the neckline on the jumpsuit. It's just kind of that bodice isn't really something that I'd ordinarily choose to do, which is why I'm planning on swapping it out, but I just really love it. Really do love this pattern. I would say it's definitely a staple, and the Chilli patterns as well, something that I really like, is rather than being on the like tissue paper, they're all on actual paper. I've taped around the edge of this one just because it's got so many pinholes in. I don't know if you can see, but this one you have to cut 4 each time you make it, and I've made 4, so I've cut it a lot of times. But they're going to last you a lot longer than a tissue pattern, and I'm not someone that traces off. So it's the Doris Dress. I've only made 2 of these, and the pattern originally wasn't one that I was particularly like excited about. It was one of the more recent patterns of theirs that I bought, because just from the drawings it doesn't really appeal to me very much. From the front the pattern looks really nice. How many times do I need to say pattern? From the front the dress looks really nice, and there are you can do it longer, you can do it shorter, you can do it shorter with a tie, you can do it shorter with a tab. Every time that I've done it I've left out both the tie at the back and the tab at the back. I've just kind of left it as it is. But my next ones I'm definitely going to make longer with the tie, just because I think that's a really nice look. And I got it, I think I got it at the show, the Knitting and Stitching show last year. So I have had it a year, but I only made my first one in, I think it was October or November. But I'm planning on making loads more of these. It is quite fiddly. There are a lot of skills in here. You need to do buttonholes, zips, darts, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 7 skirt panels, but there are no sleeves. So it does take a lot longer to construct. A lot of the time I've just done fake buttons around the front because you have a zip at the side to get it on and off. But it's a very versatile pattern. I've made it in, oh dear, the cat's going to jump up. I hope you didn't hear that. They're both on my sewing desk. They're probably going to get into an argument. They're watching us snow out the window. What was I saying? I do usually do fake buttons down the front just because they don't serve any purpose. But the next ones that I'm going to do is, instead of having such a scoopy neckline, if you can see here, because I'm quite little, the scoop is quite low on me, and it shows quite a lot of my chest, and I just get a bit chilly. So next time I'm going to kind of try and make it into a V, is the plan anyway, or just heighten the neckline. So I'll let you know how that goes. It might not be this month that I do it, but I'll do it at some point and I'll show you. Would you like me to do kind of an instructional video on how to do that, how to raise the neckline? Let me know. But yeah, I really like that one. Definitely going to be making many more of those. The vintage shirt dress, oh my goodness, there have been so many incarnations, is that the right word? I think so, of this. What are you doing? There have been so many different versions of this one that I've had, that the pattern cover has actually worn out, and I've had to put it in a brown envelope and then in a plastic thing, just because it's got so tired. But I think I've only had this one a year as well. I've made, let me think, I've made 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 3 or 4 dresses and 2 shirts from this. So the dresses, you can have the longer sleeves here or sleeveless. I've done a couple of the sleeveless ones, one long sleeve one, and I think one cropped sleeve. I just did like a short sleeve. What are you doing? I'm trying to record. You can smell cheese, I think, because I had a cheesy lunch. Not that you needed to know that. And then for the tops, what I did, this is slightly trickier, but I obviously took off the skirt and then I lengthened the front pieces. Oh, he's on my lap now. Come on then. What do you want to do? Are you a bit stuck now? Oh dear. He was sort of stretched out, didn't know what to do with himself. I took off the skirt and lengthened the front and the back pieces. The back piece, I can't remember which way around it is. I think the front piece itself is shorter than the back piece, so they don't actually need to be the same length. you don't need to lengthen them both by the same amount, because then the back piece will end up longer, if that makes any sense. But it doesn't matter if you do that, you can just chop it and hem it again. But I'm really pleased with the shirts that I've made of this, and my plans for the next one are, because the collar is rounded here, I'm going to turn it into a point, so it's a pointed collar. And I've also done one of those where I've added a tie to the waist, because I think a lot of people have found that the bodice doesn't really go in enough. It's not actually that cinched in at the waist, it's kind of straight than you'd want it to be for a pattern like that. So I've always taken, after my first version, I've always taken some off of the bodice so that it goes in a little bit more to the waist. But my first version I just added ties in at the waist seam so that I could cinch it in a little bit more. I'll try and insert, like I said, pictures of some of the versions that I've made so that you can see them. The next one is from Sew Over It City Break, and it's the Alex shirt and shirt dress. I haven't made the dress version because I don't think that would suit me, but I've made 2 of the shirt versions, and there's one in particular that I wear at least once a week, I think. It's my pink one. I think it's Talia Brunette fabric. I got it as a remnant from the Sew Over It remnant sale, and it ended up being something like £4, and I managed to get the entire shirt out of it. So I was pleased with that, but it is a really nice dress. It's got a lovely box pleat at the back. I don't usually put the pockets on just because it's a lot of extra faff and I don't use those pockets anyway. There's no interfacing at all in the entire pattern, which is always a plus. And yeah, I've only made 2 of these, like I said, but I think I'm going to make a couple more just because I really like how this collar falls. It's quite similar to the penny dress, which I like the penny dress. I've made one of those, but I'm going to make the penny dress as a tie front top is a plan, but that has no sleeves. And I don't really like my this bit of my arm showing, just because not my favourite part of me. But yeah, that's a really good pattern. And one thing that I would say is it says you need 2.3 metres of 1.4 metre wide fabric for the smallest size. You absolutely don't. And that's just for the shirt. You don't need that at all. I used under a metre and I got a shirt out of it. So take that with a pinch of salt. And finally, this one is in an A4 envelope because the pattern pieces got really bulky and they wouldn't fit back into the smaller one. Is Quick Sew 3897. I've made 2 pairs of these dungarees. I've always opted for Youve just because I have short legs and that's a shorter leg version. I think it is meant to be cropped, but it ends up full length on me. I have had to do quite a lot of alterations on both of my versions. I do need to kind of transfer that over to the pattern really, so that my next version I don't have to do that. It just is automatically, once I've cut it out, it's how I want it to be. But I have really enjoyed, I've gotten so much wear out of the things that I've made with this pattern, and I've only used it twice, but the dungarees, over this winter I've worn both pairs of my dungarees probably around about every day. One each day, I alternate them and I wash them. But yeah, it's a really good pattern. There's a lot of top stitching, but you don't actually need to do that. The first version that I made, I did all top stitching, and it doesn't actually tell you to use a twin needle. It just does. It tells you to do 1 row of stitching and then the other row of top stitching, which is what I did because that was when I'd kind of just first started sewing. But now I would just use a twin needle. They are a lot of work, but they do come together quickly, I found. Yeah, I really like this pattern. I'm very pleased. I've gotten a lot of wear out of it. So for some of these have been in the sale and I've gotten probably, it's basically they're very cost effective. So I would recommend all of those ones. Let me know if based on that there are any that you think I should try. Let me know what you think about my idea of the one patterns this many ways. If you have any suggestions for kind of hacks that I could do or patterns that you'd want me to do as part of that series, please let me know. I'm going to try my best to reply to comments as soon as I can, but there are so many things going on, what with my stain removal book and so many things, but I'm very excited and I'm very pleased with everything, and I'm so pleased that you will take the time to watch my videos. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're having a good day. Sorry if I've rambled a lot, I think I have. Hopefully you've gotten the gist of what I've been trying to say, and sorry for the cat interruption. But I'm going to go now. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye!